Happy Friday, guys. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Just gonna have a little drink and sit in the garden for this video, because I thought today we'd have a little chat about what we could be doing when at home and some writing ideas. Loads of people have been given ideas from schools and things like that, but just sometimes things run out, your head goes a bit blurry, so here's some ideas for you to start doing some writing at home. Now, what I want you to know is very important. Writing is not all about pen and paper. Sometimes you want to use a computer to write. Sometimes you want to write using pictures and comic books and storyboards, and that's fine too. And think about how you can build stories by using that. But also, technology nowadays. You've got phones, you've got iPads, you've got things on there like your notes pages and so on and so forth. Type something up. If you've got pen and paper, even better. If you haven't, use whatever you can to try and get these stories down. Maybe sometimes even do some voice recordings and listen to yourself saying your writing, and then you can play it to other people as well. It's all good ideas. Nothing's wrong in these times. Nothing's wrong in this day and age, because it's all about getting some learning done while we're at home in isolation. So number one, well, first thing you can be doing, what about some rules? Some rules for the house. There's lots of things going on during lockdown at the moment, and nothing better than writing down sort of 10 rules that people in your house have to follow. Things like being polite, making sure people are doing the right chores in their house, making sure people are following the rules, and making sure that these rules are written and designed, and maybe you can make them nice and colourful, you can put them on your wall, you can put them on your fridge. It's all writing skills. Make sure you've got your bullet points in there, make sure you've got your punctuation, and just be imaginative. See what those rules could be in your house. That's really, really a good idea. Number two, chapter books. We've got so long, we've probably got weeks ahead of us of this lockdown, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you think about it, if you were to write one chapter a day for 2 weeks, you've now got a 14 chapter book. Now that doesn't mean you have to have really long 10-page chapters. Some of your chapters might just be a paragraph, maybe a page, maybe a couple of pages. But think, you've got time to plan a story, you've got time to develop it, you've got time to move it forward. And that's really, really a chance that we don't always get when we're in school, because we do move through things quite quickly. We might write a really nice long story, but it won't be a novel, it won't be chapters. So think about using this time wisely and really build that imagination. Remember, people like J.K. Rowling and some other famous authors, they started writing their books in a cafe on napkins. You've got all this time to be sitting in your kitchen, in your study, wherever you want to go, in your garden, just like this, and just start writing. Use your imagination. Really important. Number three, stories again, but this time mix it up a little bit. See if you can make those stories really short. See how short you can make a story. Can you make a story less than 1,000 words? Can you make a story that's really interesting, really exciting? Maybe you can do it in less than 500. Challenge yourself. Write a story, and then the next one, see if you can beat it. How short can you get a story so it still has a really interesting message, a beginning, a middle, and an end, but it's really short? Can you get it even less than 500 words? That is a big challenge for you to see if you can do that. Next thing up, part of your story writing, but I want you to break it down and just do it as a standalone piece of writing. What about a description piece? A description I love, because you can put so much information into it. You can put so much imagination into it. You can think about everything. You might just sit back and describe the things around you, your garden, your house, your bedroom, but you might also get a bit more imaginative. You might think, I'll think about, what would I be seeing if I was sitting on the moon right now? What would I be seeing? What would I be smelling? What would I be tasting? Think of all those 5 senses. Some ideas, some more ideas for you. What about an undersea cave? How would you describe that? What about the top of Mount Everest? What would that be like? Or even go completely imaginative. What would it be like in the Gruffalo's bedroom? What would it be like in a fairy's kingdom? What would it be like in a knight's castle? Think about all the different things you can be doing, and you can really go to town, because when it's not real, you have all the scope in the world to try and get stuff done. And you can use all that descriptive language, similes, metaphors, get those figurative things in there and just really go to town with it. And just be excited, be imaginative with it. Now, while we're also here, we've obviously been in lockdown for a very long time. Now, some of you may have already started doing this, and some of you may have done it before, but number 5 is diary entries. What a great thing to do on a daily basis. Tell us about your day. More importantly, tell yourself, tell others. What could you put in your diary entry that's exciting from today? What could you put in your diary that's exciting from yesterday? But more importantly, this gives you a chance to plan. Think about what you might be doing tomorrow and what you might be writing about and what's going to happen from there. But then there's a twist to this. Why not adapt your diary entries? Why not think about how you could write a diary from a different person's perspective? Now, I had a really good thought the other day. What about a nurse? Our fantastic NHS people are working really hard at the moment to help us with this COVID-19. Why don't you write a diary from the perspective of a nurse going to work every day? What might they be seeing? What might they be thinking? But more importantly, what are they feeling when they get home? Maybe you could do it from the sort of the mindset of a teacher who's going into school and helping the children. Maybe a police officer. Maybe you could just do it from an adult's point of view of what's going on during this crisis and how their mind might be working. It's really interesting to get your mindset into someone else. Really use that empathy skill in your writing and think about how someone else is going to be feeling. That's really interesting. Now, this is one of my favourite ones, number 6. Now, number 6 on my list is something I've been thinking about a lot, and I'm sure you have. And I thought, what a great chance it would be to write an article, a newspaper article, a magazine article about the day lockdown stops. What might happen on that day? What do you think is going to happen all around you? Do you think the children are all going to be in the parks playing? Do you think the adults are going to be out and about? What do you think is going to be happening? Do you think the skies are going to be nice and blue and clear? Do you think there's going to be a really buzzing atmosphere around the whole country when lockdown comes around? Not just the country, around the whole world. What sort of things might be in a day after's newspaper? What would that headline be? Lockdown finished. And then what happens? Some sort of ideas. Imagine you were a reporter writing a newspaper article about that. That would be wicked. But not only that, you can think about some articles that could be happening in your house. Mum does dishes. That's an interesting one, but how could you make that exciting? How could you make that into something else? Dad finally does the hoovering. What's that story going to come from? And think about how you can build those headlines and write articles around what's going on. So next thing, most of you have got some form of access to the internet. It's not necessarily something you need for this, but it's helpful. If you've got books and you've got things at home, that's always easy to use as well, to build up information, build up a fact file, build up a written fact file. Now this is non-fiction writing, so you're looking for those facts, those really fun things you can find out about, I don't know, about your Fortnite characters, your Minecraft if you're gamers. Anyone who is interested in animals or a specific species, they can go and Google, find out some interesting facts. Maybe you just want to find out something about a different country or something you're really interested in, and you can Google. And a really interesting way to do a fact file is something like top 10 facts. Top 10 interesting facts that nobody else knows. You can then show that to your friends, you can show it to your families, and they can be excited about what you've been writing as well. Number 8 then is we're thinking about what sort of non-fiction writing we could be doing. So what about some instructional writing? What about writing and instructions of how to do something while you're in lockdown? Maybe you're a really budding Lego creator, so you could be explaining to someone how to build a really cool car out of Lego and explaining which brick goes where and which colour and how big they need to be. Maybe you might be a really budding chef and you're really interested in baking, or you're really interested in cooking, and you might want to write a recipe with instructions of how to do it. Make sure you get those imperative verbs in there, make sure you get the bullet points and the numbers and make it sure it's all order. What you could also add to that, if you really wanted to, you could add some pictures, you could add some sort of diagrams to help your instructions go along. So it just gives that little twist to your writing. But even more of a twist to that, you could go down a non-fiction road, and you could go down an instruction manual of how to capture the hobgoblin under the bridge, how to trick the dragon into starting a fire for you, how to go through all those imaginative ideas that you've got that are just brewing in your head and then go from there and see what happens. Now, with that point, with the dragons, with sort of imaginary characters, what about character profiles? That's still writing, guys. Just because you're not writing a story, just because you're not writing something that's long and page after page, a character profile is still your writing skills, but you're taking your reading skills into it as well. You're looking into thinking about what their personality is like, how they're going to act in certain situations, what they look like, that description feature of what their face, what their clothes, what they are doing. You might describe my t-shirt as quite funky today. I thought I'd just mix it up for you while I'm in the garden. But how would you do that character profile? And that's interesting. It doesn't have to be a character that you've made up. It doesn't have to be a character from one of the books you read. Maybe you could do a character profile on one of your teachers. Maybe you could do a character profile on an adult you know at home or an adult you know from outside. You don't know. The opportunities are endless, guys. And last but not least, and this is one of my favourite ones, and this is what I've seen a lot of during lockdown, is children writing letters to other people. Children writing letters to adults, children writing letters to friends and family. And again, this doesn't have to be something that's necessarily going from things like pen and paper. You can do it by email, you could do it by text, and you could write a nice little paragraph letter to them. It doesn't have to be anything that's just reams and reams of paper, but writing is such an important skill, guys. And if you've got the opportunity to do it, use your imagination and go to town. Alright? Happy Friday. I hope you're all enjoying yourselves. Grab my drink. Hope you're all enjoying yourselves, and it's the weekend now. So have a think, have a little go, and see what you can do. Cheers. Stay safe, guys.